Hi, and welcome to the second part of things we need to get before we can put our little house together. Well, first, what we do is we're rolling clay out. So if you roll clay out on a table, the clay will stick to the table. So what we need to do is go and get a cotton cloth. Okay, just any cotton cloth, as long as it hasn't got any seams in. You put that on your table, lay it down flat, and then what we need is 2 pieces of stick. 2 pieces of stick. These 2 pieces are just old pieces of stick, but they're about 10 mil thick. A little bit thinner is a little bit better, but these 2 sticks I found outside, and they help me just to roll the clay out. So I put those at either side, I put the clay in the middle, and then I need a rolling pin. This can be any rolling pin, just a cheap one from your supermarket. So just go and get a cheap rolling pin. It doesn't have to be a big posh rolling pin. What we do is we put our clay there and we roll that out so we get a beautiful long piece of clay, the same thickness all the way through. Okay, once we've got our clay rolled out, we need a ruler. You can either have a steel ruler, which I use all the time, so when I measure up the lines I get a lovely straight lines from that. But you don't need a steel ruler, you can get a wooden ruler. A wooden ruler is fine. Okay, alright, next after that we need something to cut our clay. So I've got a little peeling knife here. It's not sharp, so I would prefer you don't get a sharp knife. You take that back and forth and it won't cut any, but it has got a sharp point on it, so when I cut out the windows and the doors, it gives me a nice little edge all the way around. So a knife, you need one of those. Okay, a fork. You might need a fork, or you can get a plastic one. Okay, this is to put the indentations of the wood grain over your clay, so it gives that lovely wood grain effect, and also on the roof a lovely corrugated iron effect on the roof. Alright, just helps make it look a bit more realism. Okay, put that aside there. One other thing you'll need is just go and get yourself a 90-45 degree set square. This is to cut our clay at 90 degrees so you can put our walls together, and 45 degrees so we can make our roof. Okay, we put that on our clay just there and we cut it 45 degrees. It gives us a good angle for our roof. Okay, so don't have to get an expensive one, just a cheap 45 degree set square, but it'll do fine. Okay, to put our clay together, once we've cut it, we need to knit it all together, back and forth. So to get it to stick properly, we need to get some dry clay. What we do with this dry, once you get your clay, just get a little piece out, push it all down, squash it down, and just leave it out and let it dry. What we do with that is once it's dry, we crush it down and we make like a powder with that. We get a little jar, we put it in our jar like so, and with that we just let it sit there just a little bit with a bit of water. Sit there a few minutes, let that water dissolve into the clay. We mix it up, and we make like a goop. It's a paste. Potters call it slip, but people that I teach pottery with, they like to call it goop. Okay, it's like a glue for pottery. Okay, it gets all gooey, and that'll do fine. Okay, putting it together. So make sure you've got that before we start. Okay, and another thing we need is our brush to wipe it on, and also, while I've got this here, a damp cloth. Okay, a damp cloth like so. That is to wipe our hands, because sometimes our hands get very dry with the clay. Well, they do over here. I'm in Australia and it's very hot over here, and it just keeps our hands moist, so when we're touching the clay it doesn't really dry up really fast, because when you're making the little furniture and the little bits, sometimes it just helps to wet your hands and to keep it moist, so when you're making little fiddly things it just doesn't dry it out really quick. Okay, next what we need is to use the most important part, the clay. What I use is, these are pugs of clay, and this one is a stoneware clay. Most of the time I do use a stoneware clay because I do use a lot of different colour glazes, but you don't have to use a stoneware clay. You can go get a cheap terracotta clay or a cheaper clay than that. You're only having fun with clay at the moment. Alright, you don't have to go and get a very expensive clay. We're only having fun making our little houses, and they're so wonderful to put all together, and we just have a lot of little fun making. You'll be really happy with the result. Anyway, my name's Peter Parsons. Stay with me and we'll start cutting out one of these and putting it all together. Okay.